Hello, I'm Katie Kammler, MU Extension Horticulture Specialist, and the topic is pollination in vegetable production. So, what is pollination? Pollination is the transfer of pollen from the male portions of the flower to the female portions of the flower. And pollinators that transfer that pollen are essential for vining crops, including cucumbers, cantaloupe, pumpkin squash, and watermelon. Some vegetable crops are self-fertile, but wind, in the case of sweet corn, or bees, in the case of tomatoes, are needed to vibrate the flowers to release the pollen for fertilization. Pollinators common to vegetable crops include honeybees, bumblebees, and squash bees. So the video shown was a bumblebee working on pollinating from a male flower. Hopefully he was taking off to a female flower in a pumpkin crop. Figuring out pollinator needs. So, around 90 crops that are grown in the US depend on bees as pollinators for either seed or fruit production. So, they are essential for having food on the table. Now, the number of honeybee hives needed to pollinate a crop really depends. There are lots of factors that play into that, but some of those factors include the strength and condition of the honeybee colony, the number of the natural pollinator community, because squash bees are native and serve a great help in pollination. The native flowers or other crops that are competing with our crop that we want pollinated. The attractiveness of that crop to bees, because, just like us, they have their favorites. Also, what the projected yield is, and weather plays an important role in whether those honeybees are going to be out pollinating. So, some typical rules of thumb. Cantaloupe, 2 to 3 colonies per acre. Cucumber, also 2 to 3 colonies per acre. Pumpkins and squash, 1 colony per acre. Watermelon can vary a lot, 1 to 5 colonies per acre. So, the reality is the seedless variety need more pollinators because it takes more visits to accomplish pollination. Bee activity can also increase yields for eggplant, okra, peppers, and lima beans. They do not need the pollinators as far as the actual pollination process, but it can increase yields having them around. And honeybees also will collect pollen and nectar from peas, snap beans, sweet corn, and tomatoes. So they can use those as food sources. That concludes our talk today on just some basics of pollination in vegetable crops.